Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. And if you see her in your dreams, be sure you never, ever scream.
Welcome back to SledgeHammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge. And I'm Ashley Sledge. And today we are going to be doing our Didn't See That Coming on the movie Dead Silence. That's right, Dead Silence. For those of you that don't know, Dead Silence was written and directed by the same people that did Saw 1 through 3. I think it was 1 through 3. Does that sound right to you? Yeah, it sounds right to me. I knew you'd agree. She's a good dummy.
Hey, I'm not a dummy.
Now, who's the dummy?
Okay. Well, anyway, Dead Silence starts off with our main character, Jamie.
Yes.
Him and his wife, Lisa, are at their house. Jamie's trying to fix the sink. He promised her dinner. Couldn't get dinner done in time, so he goes to get Chinese takeout. Right before he leaves,
though, they get a knock at the door, and they open it up, and there's a box.
And inside the box is
A dummy.
Billy, our dummy here. So now he actually leaves, goes to get Chinese takeout. While he's gone, unfortunately, Lisa starts to hear. She tries to prank Jamie. Actually,
she puts him on the bed under the sheets, and then all of a sudden she starts to hear laughing and.
Then we don't really see what happens, but Jamie comes home. There's blood on the floor. He's telling Lisa this isn't funny. He thinks that she's doing a practical joke. He goes back to the room, pulls the sheet off her. Her tongue's been ripped out. She's dead.
Well, because he hears our voice.
Yeah.
Leading.
That's my fault. Bad boy. So he hears her voice, and then he gets there, and she's already dead. Mm-hmm. We go a little bit into the future, and we meet my favorite character, the Detective Lipton.
Yes.
And played by Donnie Wahlberg. I absolutely love this character. He's so
funny. Yeah,
he's always shaving. And he's sarcastic, but he's serious at the same time. He is kind of interrogating Jamie. He tells Jamie not to leave town. Jamie says he's gonna because he's gonna go bury his wife in Ravensfair, which is where they're from. Mm-hmm. We get there and we meet Jamie's dad.
Yep.
And his new stepmom. Ella. And the dad is Edward. So these two are together. Jamie and his dad don't really have the greatest history with each other.
Right.
But Ella's telling him he's changed. He goes to talk to his dad. He's in a wheelchair. She explains to him he had a stroke. He's a totally different man now. I don't want to spoil too much of the movie. I know this is Didn't See It Coming, but there are still plot points that we are going to purposely leave out because we feel like there's stuff that you guys need to watch in this movie. It's a fantastic movie to me and her both. I don't want to speak for her, but it's grossly underrated movie.
Yeah. I can remember watching it, and it scared the living crap out of me.
It's both of us.
Yeah.
We were together the first time we watched it. Mm-hmm. And it's a movie that I strongly wished we would have gotten a sequel for. I think they could have really built a franchise around this.
Absolutely.
But it didn't do so well in the box office. There's a lot of Easter eggs in it that are a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But we want to go back to the funeral home.
Yep. So after he leaves his dad's mansion, because I guess
they've got a mansion out there in Ravensfair.
Yeah,
we probably should have mentioned like the whole town's like shut down.
Oh yeah, the whole town is like, it's like a ghost town. Yeah.
When Jamie first gets there, he's driving through town and everything's closed down. I almost expected like a comical, like a tumbleweed.
Yeah.
To go rolling. But now we find out, Jamie's here. He's trying to figure it out. And the wife of the
Marion?
Yeah, Marion's her name, but you would call him like the guy that runs the morgue.
Yeah,
I don't know what you would call
mortician.
Yeah, like the Undertaker. Not Undertaker, he buries people. But anyway, forgive me for being so stupid. But Marion is
the dummy.
True that. Marion is kind of crazy. We think she's crazy. Mm-hmm. And she's always talking to people. And
she's always talking to her little pet raven.
Yeah, little bird. And she kind of let slip the Mary Shaw thing. It kind of happened at the beginning when they got the dummy. Jamie's wife was like, what was that poem from when we were kids? The Beware Mary Shaw thing. Well, you come to find out that Mary Shaw was a ventriloquist and she was murdered. We don't know by who, but her tongue was cut out and a whole group of people murdered her. At this point is where we start to figure this out. Marion's kind of in on this. Well, in comes Detective Lipton. He's followed Jamie out there. Jamie went to... Jamie's trying to end this because he knows that there's something supernatural going on.
Yeah.
So when he goes out there, part of what he's doing is trying to figure out what I can do to end this. How did this happen to my wife? And obviously Jamie's the number one suspect, especially to Detective Lipton. Around this point of the movie where we're going to go now, Jamie is in... He took the dowel. He went back and got the dowel because he wants to bury the dowel. Because that's what he's trying to figure out. Who dug up the dowel? Who sent me the dowel that started this whole thing again? Mm-hmm. Well, he goes and he buries the dowel. He goes back to his motel room, takes a shower, gets out of the shower. Detective Lipton is there with the dowel. In one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. Watch this real quick.
Okay. Since you don't want to answer my questions, maybe you'd like to answer his. Why did you bury me, Jamie? Is it because I'm evidence in a capital crime? A crime that you are the number one suspect in?
I love that. That part kills me.
That's so funny.
Why did you bury me, Jamie? I love that part. That kind of shows you the dry humor of Detective Lipton as well. Well, from here we find out that Detective Lipton went and dug up all the bodies, and none of the bodies are there. None of the dummies.
Yeah, none of her dummies that
Yeah, her children.
Yes, because she never had any children.
Yes.
Only dolls.
Yep.
Right here.
She had no children, only dolls. So it's in the poem itself. Mm-hmm. So pretty much what we're doing now is we're trying to figure out how to stop Mary Shaw. Who brought Mary Shaw back? How do we stop Mary Shaw? Mm-hmm. So he goes to see his dad again. While he's going to see his dad, Henry, the old man that runs the morgue or the... Gosh, why can't I think of what... The funeral home. Funeral home? There we go. Jeez, I'm so sorry, guys. Marion always goes under the stairs, into this little crawl space area. Well, he thinks she's under there, so he goes under there. It turns out it's Mary Shaw. She rips his tongue out. The thing is...
Because he screams.
He screams.
Yes, if you scream, she will get
That's how she kills you. So, and what you see here in the background is she's take his tongue and puts it in her mouth, and that's how she gets his voice. So, while Jamie is visiting his dad, trying to figure some more stuff out, he gets a call from Henry, who he thinks is Henry, saying, you know, come out to the old abandoned theater. I can prove you didn't kill your wife.
Also, while they were there, detective was there too, trying to arrest him. Yeah. And he was resisting. And he's like, don't make me arrest you in front of your family.
In front of your mother.
In front of your mother.
And that's when Jamie pushes him over to run out the door. And he's like, Jamie, don't make me chase you. I only got a half a tank of gas. So it's one of those things where with Detective Lipton, he is so sarcastic throughout the whole movie, but he's such a fun character to watch. Now, with the Mary Shaw thing, when he goes back to visit his dad, he learns that his great uncle, Michael, he, was making fun of Mary Shaw at one of her shows,
He was a kid. He was a kid at
Little
the
kid.
show. Yeah.
And he was, haggling her, I can see your lips moving.
Yeah, and then he comes up missing.
And to the town...
They blamed her.
Mary Shaw was the only suspect.
Yeah.
So they killed her, cut out her tongue, made her scream. Well, Jamie and the detective go to the old abandoned theater where Mary Shaw lived. And they're in there, and the detective is telling him, because they have to go by boat, and he's following him, and then he gets there, and he's like, Jamie, just please, there's no one here. Let's get out of here. Let's stop this stupid bullshit. Henry's not here. And then you hear, yes, he is. And then Detective Lipton's like, shh, I swear to God, if you say I told you so. And another awesome Detective Lipton one-liner. So they go back, and they discover that all of her dolls have been dug up and placed back in the old theater. Underneath a blanket is another doll. But this doll is Michael.
A human.
The boy. She did take him.
She did kill him.
And she had him strung up like a marionette. And she was trying to create the perfect doll. Which is something that we could have touched on earlier when Jamie was looking through one of the books at the old abandoned theater. How to make the perfect doll was in there. And she wanted to make one out of a human being. So that's kind of where now they know. Well, now they got to destroy all the dolls. So they start, Detective Lipton starts shooting the dolls because...
She lives through her dolls.
And one of the dolls comes up. It's a clown doll, which is super creepy.
It was creepy.
And he asks why. why did you kill her? Why did you kill Lisa? And she said, the last Asher isn't you. The last Asher was in her belly.
Yeah.
So you find out that they killed her because what she's trying to do essentially now is silence and kill all the people that killed her and silenced her. And the Asher line, Ashen is his last name. The Ashen bloodline is who did it. So she's trying to get rid of all the Ashens.
And so he would have been the last.
So the baby inside of her stomach would have been the last Ashen. Well, now they start destroying all the dolls. He throws the torch, lights them all on fire. They're running away. The bridge collapses underneath them. Detective Lipton falls.
And he screams. You can't scream, detective.
Gets his tongue ripped out. It's a really cool scene, actually, because he gets drugged behind the curtain. And then when he pops out, his mouth's all ripped open and he falls down the curtain. It's a really cool cinematic scene. It looks really good. Yep, and then when he's on the ground, his electric razor is still buzzing. So it's a funny death, but it's a sad death because it was Lipton.
Right.
Well, now Jamie goes back because he thinks the curse is broken. So he goes back to his dad's house. The last thing he has to do is kill Billy. I'm sorry, he didn't think the curse is broken. He goes back to his dad's house to get Billy the puppet and kill him. He throws it in the fire. You hear a Mary Shaw scream. We think it's all over. He gets up and goes to talk to his dad. His dad's in a wheelchair, remember? And he puts his hand on his back and his dad falls over. And the whole back of him
is gutted.
It's all hollowed out and there's a hole in there. And what you see is the whole time the stepmom was using him as a puppet. So he would talk and she would do the voice for him. There's even a scene where she's feeding him soup and you see it in the replay.
Yeah, it's so crazy, looking back on it, she's always by his side.
Yeah. And once you see it, it's like the big reveal in Saw, the way it's showing you all the flashbacks and it's playing that cinematic scene, the music over top of it, the awesome score. This movie, just like the Saw franchise, has an awesome score. Yeah. Whoever scored these movies nailed it because it's I love this. I bought this score, for this and Saw. These are two scores that we own. We love them. We used to do.
Oh, yeah.
For Saw all the time. So, well, now he turns around and you find out that his stepmom is, I guess, the reincarnation of Mary Shaw.
Yeah.
She's the last puppet. Well, when she turns around, she says, now who's the dummy? And Jamie screams, she rips out his tongue, and that's the end of the movie. Now, where you didn't see this coming, you would have never guessed. At least I didn't. I can't say you wouldn't. You might be 10 times smarter than me. But I don't think you're 10 times smarter than her. Maybe that's just my admiration for her. But I never would have guessed
the dad was the dummy?
Yeah, and that she was a puppeteer for him. And it's really cool the way that they go back and show you these scenes. There's a scene
always next to him.
And she runs after Jamie. And when she runs after him, you just see the dad just fall like that. It's really cool. And it makes sense because it ties in with destroying the Ashen bloodline.
Right.
She got to him. And the reason that Jamie, a big thing we left out, the reason Jamie figures out that his dad has something to do with it, he goes back to the funeral home. And Marion is crying. He's like, Marion, where's the doll? Where's the last dummy? And she's like, Ashen came and got it. He's like, Marion, my dad's in a wheelchair. He couldn't. And she's crying. She's like, Ashen got the doll. It was Ashen. So he knows now something's up. Right. So we're all as people that are viewing the movie are thinking, oh, well, he wasn't in a wheelchair the whole time. The whole time he's just trying to kill his son because of the bad past that they had. And we're thinking he's the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And then
because he blames him for killing his mom too. So
Jamie blames the dad for killing the mom. Yeah. That was one of the storylines I wanted to leave out, but we'll talk about it now.
Sorry.
One of the cool lines in the movie that I would like for you guys to experience is when he's talking to the stepmom. He's like, at least you're going to outlive him. And he walks by a painting. He's like, my mom used to be in this painting. And his next wife was in this painting. And as he walks out the door, he's like, at least you're going to outlive him. So you're not going to have to get painted out of any photos. And so it just shows the animosity that he truly has towards his dad. And the dad talks about it, the puppet dad, but I think there was some real feelings of Mr. Ashen in this scene where he says, Jamie, I was hard on you to drive you away, to try to get you away from this curse. And I think that there was some legitimacy to this. Legitimacy to that, even though he was a puppet at this point. I think that really is why, because he knew the Ashen bloodline. He knew about Michael Ashen and how he was murdered and how they murdered Mary Shaw, and she swore revenge on anybody with those bloodlines, and those people are all dying now. And I think the dad knew the whole time that that's kind of what was going on. So I think there was some legitimacy to that. And it's a sad ending, obviously, if you're rooting for the good guys, because the Ashen bloodline is done. It's gone. But it's such a powerful movie. And like I said, there is a lot that we left out because I don't feel like us doing a whole scene-by-scene review does this movie any justice. Any of the movies we do.
Right.
You know,
we just want to, talk about what we didn't see coming.
Right. And I think the twist in this movie was fantastic. It's one of the, I compare it to, this to me was at a point where, Saw was out, and this was kind of, to me, the next big didn't see that coming twist that Saw had.
Yeah.
Now you kind of watch horror movies, and almost every horror movie has some kind of twist to it. Sometimes you see them coming, sometimes you don't. But in this movie, it was still at that point where I'm not thinking every horror movie has a twist. To me, I'm thinking, they're just bad dolls, bad woman, kill the dolls, kill the woman, it's over.
Right.
I didn't see the twist of the stepmom was it. And one thing that's really cool is we talked about it earlier. He's looking at the book of how to build the perfect doll. He goes back in his mind and looks at that, and he flips over the picture, and the picture in the book is his stepmom.
Right.
So, that hint was there the whole time, and we never seen it. Because at that scene in the movie, we don't see him turn that page over. He sees it. So I don't know if, we rewatched it and we watched his face and he kind of gives it that look, but I don't think it totally set into him that she was it. So just like always, we end these with a skull count. I'm going to talk for you. We end these with a skull count. Always different with me and her, obviously. I personally am going to give this 4.5 out of 5 skulls. Hear me out. I know this is not a cinematic masterpiece. I get that. But I can honestly say, I was probably 20, 21 when we watched this.
Yeah.
And I think this might have been the last movie that really, really made me scared of the dark.
Yes.
We watched this movie together. We were actually house sitting for my father. And this movie scared the shit out of us. This movie gave me a good scare. Mm-hmm. Maybe The Conjuring, I could compare it to when it comes to how bad it scared me.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie. If you guys haven't seen Dead Silence, please watch this movie. If you have seen Dead Silence and it's been a while, give it a revisit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We haven't watched it in how long, and we rewatched it, and it's still amazing.
Yeah, we loved it. The score is great. The acting is great. The twist is great. Donnie Wahlberg, Detective Lipton, he is phenomenal. He is one of the best. It's funny because he's kind of I guess you could say he's kind of the villain in a way in the movie. Not like evil villain.
Yeah.
But he's kind of the protagonist to Jamie's antagonist. He's always following him, accusing him, kind of an asshole to him. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he's one of those guys that you love to hate. Because I was legitimately upset when he died. No, I wanted him to make it because he was funny and he was always really quirky. He reminds me of me. And I'm not trying to blow my own horn, but really quirky and sarcastic and all those characters that I always look for, like Jamie Kennedy in Scream. That quirky, sarcastic guy. That's always my favorite character in every movie. So I give this it is asshole. I give this 4.5 skulls out of 5. My beautiful wife, what do you?
I think I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Pretty fair.
Yeah.
So we will be joined. This is episode 2 of Didn't See That Coming, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you stuck through all of that, we really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We're having so much fun doing this for you. My wife is putting in so much hard work, so I appreciate everything she does, making these signs for every episode and going all out on the makeup. It means a lot to us that you guys are watching. We're having so much fun doing this for you. Our next episode, we will be talking with Peter Anthony of F13 Vengeance, Friday 13th Vengeance, and the upcoming Friday 13th Vengeance 2 about a movie, The Mist, that obviously the ending, we'll have a little debate on that next week.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much for watching. I am Ken Sledge.
And I am Ashley Sledge.
Guys, stay what you are, keep talking horror, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.